Hello, and welcome to this episode. I have for you LJ Sarkodee, who is the founder of SalesClosers and Freedom Sales Schools. She has a rich experience in high ticket sales, and she's going to share insights on scaling your business, scaling your sales revenue, and strategies for how to hire remote sales professionals and what you can do to get good talent versus weed out the ones that may not be a fit for your company. So I'm going to bring LJ up. Hello, LJ.
Hello, so good to be here, Celia.
Yes, and you're tuning in from the UK, correct?
I am, yes, just central England. I'm Irish, but living in England right now.
Cool, cool. Well, it's so great to have you today. You and I go way back, probably about what, 4 years or three or 4 years we met online, and I did some coaching with you to get my consulting offers up and running. And at the time, your primary offer was Freedom Sales School, and that's how we
Correct.
connected.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. I would say it probably is about 4 years, right? So much
Mm-hmm.
has evolved and changed with you and with me. It's amazing to journey with people that, yeah, where they're evolving and transforming all the time. And it's a pleasure, isn't it, to be on the
Mm-hmm.
journey with that, like people.
It is. It is. And so now your company, Sales Closers, tell our audience a little bit about what you do and what you offer to your clients.
Yeah, absolutely. So Sales Closers was born really out of Freedom Sales School. I was a high ticket closer myself, having come through many years, more years than I care to remember in the sales space. I think it's actually about 25 years, something like that. And yeah, people kept finding their way to my inbox asking for good closers. I had built a network while I'd been running Freedom Sales School. And yeah, I've been offering services, agency services, providing businesses who wanted to scale by outsourcing their sales conversations. I've been doing that for a number of years. Sales Closers has been in existence for about 3.5 years, something like that. Eventually, after offering those services, it got to the point where it made sense to have a formal entity
Mhm.
around that, because yeah, it was clear that was the path that was opening up in front of me. So here we are. So yeah, essentially we have mainly online service businesses to scale much faster by outsourcing the sales conversations to pre-vetted and experienced sales closers. I think that's important to say.
Yeah, and we're going to dive into that. And so, in your business, are there specific industries that you work more with, or do you kind of have a variety of industries that you work with? I mean, obviously, they're selling high ticket services or products. That's like a non-negotiable.
Yeah, absolutely. It needs to be high ticket. So anything we would class high ticket, anything above the $5,000 mark,
Mhm.
but often that can go right up to six figures. Typically, it's more service-led businesses. That said,
Mhm.
we are seeing more and more product businesses appearing in terms of inquiries. I think the important thing there is, do they have enough profit to be able to warrant bringing in an agency and a
Mhm.
sales closer? So that might just need to look a little bit different in terms of how that's structured. But for the most part, it's service-based businesses. So education providers, um, yeah, course providers, consultants,
Mhm.
coaches, software companies, so software as a service, really.
Mhm.
So anything really service related, where businesses are generating inbound inquiries, typically from some kind of funnel online, and then yeah, our team would pick up those sales calls and close them. Equally, we offer recruiting services and consulting and contracting services as well, whereby we would offer clients access to. So that works quite well in the software space too. So access to sales contractors, essentially, where they would bring in fractional salespeople to work with them, often on a
Mhm.
very, very flexible and part-time basis, whatever is needed. That's the beauty of it. It's like, well, depending on where the business is, there's always a flexible sales solution to suit their specific needs.
And that provides such a benefit to the client because as they're scaling, they may not be ready for a full-time person, or they
Correct.
may not have the internal processes or the internal management to hire and train and recruit and do all of those things. So you're able to really bolt on with the companies and provide those solutions that are customized to what they need.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. And that really is the beauty of it. It's typically any one of those services should be able to fit where a business owner is in terms of their specific needs. It might be a full-time person on a short-term basis, or like you say, they're just not ready to employ someone right now. And actually 20 hours a week would fit really well to have someone maybe doing a full sales cycle, or just scheduling appointments, doing some prospecting or closing. So it's real full sales cycle stuff.
Mhm.
And what we will do is match sales pros with the businesses, that come to us and inquire.
So when you're matching your sales pros and the businesses, I know that you have some specific criteria that you look for. I'd love to dive into that as far as values for the company, but then also industry experience, because I know a lot of our listeners and viewers, they may be at that point where they are looking to hire and start scaling their sales departments and bring on their first reps, or they already have a sales team and they're always looking for ways to optimize.
Yeah, yeah. No, for us, that's super important. So we have a 5-step process that we will actually put all sales professionals through. And that ranges right from the initial application, the kind of questions that we're asking people. We're looking specifically for a little bit of character coming through there as much as anything, right through to we have an interview state, or a video stage where we have them submit a video asking some specific questions around their experience. We're looking there as much as anything how they come across on video, where so much is remote. Video sales calls now, we want to see how they come across, but also can they follow instruction at that stage. Then we will move to interviews as well. That's where we're digging in, like you say, around the
Mhm.
values, the motivations. For me, what we have discovered is when we prioritize values in sales and selling, that is much more important
Mhm.
than, yet skills are important, but if we can match values with the client, then they needn't be concerned about their brand being represented well, because if someone shares the same values, those values are going to be carried into every conversation they have. So they can relax in that knowing. And I do believe with salespeople, like, absolutely, industry experience, if we can get it, is great. We often do get it
Mhm.
in space. However, we've also seen people with limited experience, but there's been a values fit. They've got sales experience, but they've got a passion for that particular topic, or an
Mhm.
invested interest in it. Absolutely fly, because they believed in the product. So I think for me, values first and foremost, but then secondary is a belief in the product or service that they're selling, that can carry in a sales conversation, and someone will be able to feel that.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's where your magic and your genius comes in, is you can really see those parts that can be matched up and really create a great fit. Whereas, like a business owner, they're not always able to see that. And sometimes they just want to go hire as fast as possible, get anybody they know. And I've seen people that have, very just very, I would say, like soft-spoken brand, very intuitive, and then they go and they're talking to this like really masculine macho guy, and all of their leads are women, and it's like it's not a fit. So there's the
No,
values, and then also like the culture fit as well, that's really important.
100%. Yeah, I've seen that before. In fact, I was speaking to a prospective new client recently, whereby um, she was actually selling, like, her audience are nurses
Mhm.
primarily, And similar thing, like you've just said, they found they'd outsourced the sales conversations, but these kind of masculine sales professionals selling to nurses in a position where, really they just wanted to be cared for and nurtured. That's the very essence of that audience. So there was just a complete mismatch there. So I completely agree. It's got to feel good. Values, brand, does this person reflect you? That this is going to be the first person that potentially someone has spoken to in your company. Like, it's so important that those first impressions, whether we like it or not, we are all judging all of the time, and we make really snap judgments. So if that opener, that initial intro is off, they're going to have to fight really hard to get that back.
I always say that we live in the era of the highly conscious buyer. And even if they don't think of themselves to be like super aware and super conscious, they are. And they pick up on those subtle gestures and those subtle cues. And instantly, they're either turned off or you've engaged them and they're going to, have a great conversation.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And that's all at a subconscious level. We often talk about, I'm sure you and I have had the conversation before around, people buy on emotion, but they can't quite put their finger on why, because logically it all stacked up, but there was something that just did not add up for them in that conversation. It didn't feel right for whatever reason. And if there's a jarring to that effect, they're not going to be able to verbalize that as an objection. It's just a feeling. So the more, you can get this right with sales pros up front, the more you'll see those connections made and, sales out the other end as well.
And so you have a vetting process for your closers that you're bringing in, and then you also vet the businesses that you work with and that you partner with as well. So let's talk about what a business looks like that's ready to have a sales pro, and then businesses that aren't ready, because we see that a lot too, that people just want to go bring on a salesperson and they have no leads. And, that's fine. Maybe they want somebody to do prospecting, but they don't even have a system or a strategy in place to teach and train that person to do that. So it's almost like the salesperson is coming in to like save their business.
Oh,
Very common.
Yeah. We've seen that many times before. And listen, I get it. I don't want to put people in that bracket down in the set. We've all been there. It's like, is a salesperson gonna absolutely smash it and do something, come in with some kind of magic formula as yet? So no, that's not the case. So what we are looking for in terms of clients that are really a great fit are people that have a sales process in place. It is proven. They have some baseline stats in terms of, let me give you this as an example. So if someone is looking to bring in a commission only sales professional, the very best sales professionals will be looking for, what is the conversion rate right now? How many inquiries are coming in? What is the no-show rate? Like, what is, the strategy? How well educated are these leads before coming in? All these different touch points. The very best sales professionals are going to be looking for all of those. And sadly, what happens is, on this entrepreneurial journey, entrepreneurs will have heard someone say that, oh, you need a closer in place. They're going to take all this work off your plate. They'll do the selling and you can just focus on the delivery. And whilst on one level that is true, you are not going to keep a sales professional unless you have these pieces in place. Even looking at the onboarding, which I know you're great at, and getting the strategy and the structures in place. So important that experience is great, getting your salesperson on board, having the right assets in place for them to be able to consume so that they can hit the ground running. Again, good people are going to want to earn quickly. They're not going to want to wait 2-3 months before they can start closing deals and start making money, particularly if it's on a commission only basis. So as the entrepreneur or business owner, it's really your responsibility. You've got to take personal responsibility for getting these pieces in place. It's not just a case of a sales person or sales team are, a magic bullet and everything's going to be wonderful on the other side of hiring a great person. It takes time, it takes effort, but on the flip side, when you get it right and you spend time getting your sales process right, getting the strategy right, tweaking it, filling the gaps, then a salesperson, absolutely, if they are doing well and you've got this in place, then they'll stay with you over the long term because there's no reason not to.
Right. The funnel's working, the leads are coming in, they're making money, your business is making money. It's just it's a win-win. And that's really what we want, is that long-term ongoing partnership with the sales closer and the client. So what is the biggest like sales team that you have in place with a client? Like, how many, do you have a client that has like a large number of closers placed with you?
Yeah, we've had we haven't got massive, like up to 4 closers,
Okay.
I would say, is what kind of our sweet spot.
Okay.
Generally, over and above that, they want to start bringing the closers
Yeah.
in-house. So we appreciate there's always a need for that. And even where our clients go to outsource their sales fully to us, we do have a clause in place that allows that transition to happen, because inevitably what happens when a business scales, obviously the back end costs increase as well. So commission wise, it doesn't always make sense to continue that relationship above a certain point. It makes more sense to bring the people internally, then they become an asset at that point in time. So yeah, we have had launches before. We have obviously bolstered sales teams. We go in, get everyone in place. Short period of time, it's more intense. We get the deals done, and then we reduce the numbers back down again. But with any one client, typically that's where our sweet spot is, and then we get them to the point where they've got the processes in place to be able to scale.
Wonderful. And then you have requirements in terms of, we talked about the sales process, but then also like the number of leads that they have coming in per day or per week. And then you mentioned earlier the 5K, is that sort of like your floor of offer that you'll sell for? Granted, there could be some downsells, but like the core offer is at least 5,000.
Yeah, exactly. At least $5,000. And like you say, there's always going to be some downsell there, which absolutely, better getting a downsell than not at all, to be able to help that person. And yes, in terms of leads, what we typically say is we want to see at least 10 to 15 inquiries per week, but it's often much more. So some of our clients, it could be 15, 16 calls a day being booked, but we would say as an absolute minimum, that's what we're looking for. Also, if you are going to hire directly, so our direct hire service, not necessarily outsourcing, if you're going to be looking at a part-time sales professional, they need to have at least 10 inquiries per week to make sense for them to do that. If you are looking, depending on what the conversion rate is, but if they are working your offer alongside another offer, typically your sales professionals out there who are good at what they do, they want to be earning, at least I would say 6 figures a year. So, you need to almost reverse engineer that commission. It's like, okay, roughly 10, on our application forms, almost every sales professional ever says, when we ask like income, desired income, it's almost always 10K or above, like per month. So if you can reverse your figures, the conversion rates coming in, the inquiries are coming in at that level. And if someone was to take on your offer plus one, let's say it is on a part-time basis, would that get them to the kind of 10K plus level that would be looking for, providing you're looking for someone at that level?
This is great. It's so good to dive into the numbers so that people can really see where they are, especially if they want to hire and set those goals and those benchmarks. And as you said before, they need to have a proven sales funnel in place and sales process. And when you have that in place, you're able to turn on the paid traffic, you're able to go and, have your funnel linked up to different paid traffic sources, YouTube ads, Facebook ads, Google, like you can do so much with it. So there's just such a value of, starting there, if for business owners that may not be there, is really getting your sales process dialed in and your funnel working and converting and getting those inquiries coming in. And then, the sky is the limit. If you want that inbound type of business, and most online business owners want inbound, and then there's the people like, me, like salespeople who will get out there and prospect and will get out there and create opportunities. And not everybody wants to do that as a part of their, their daily life and their day-to-day in their business.
Yeah, no, 100%. And there are people out there, like you say, who are more than happy to prospect as well.
Absolutely.
We've got people that literally that's all they want to do. Others, are quite happy to manage the full sales cycle as well. And actually, I think what's happening, I'm sure you have noticed this as well with your current clients, in the current economy, I just don't think there is a place to be solely inbound closing the way there was 4 years ago, even.
Right.
It's like sales cycles are longer, buyers are more skeptical than they've ever been before. I don't think we can rely either on, the Facebook algorithm or whatever. If people are running ads, even Google, it's like, well, what happens if that tanks? Are the salespeople able to go fishing for themselves, go hunting, that they're not relying on being fed by the business owner. We're having to educate both clients and salespeople that we're in a new market, we're in a new economy now where actually you've got to be flexible, and that's got to be one of the things that's on the table to be discussed. I don't think it's realistic in the current economy that it's like only inbound and nothing else. It's not going to happen. Or certainly if it is, you're never going to reach the kind of potential that you could do if you were to incorporate more prospecting, etc.
Great point, LJ. Great point. It's that diversification, because you're right. I remember us talking about that in a previous conversation around how the algorithms can change any day. And then I've met business owners that when the Facebook ads algorithm reset, whatever they did to change it. Oh, it was that, I think it was the Apple data. I forget all the key terminology. You know what I'm talking about, but around 2020 and the privacy laws, and a lot of businesses, they were getting all these leads and they dried up, and a lot of businesses still haven't recovered from that. And they were solely dependent on Facebook traffic and Facebook paid ads, and they just never worked the same again after that.
Yeah, no, it's so sad to see that, but it's definitely a warning signal for other business owners. I would say is like, you do not want to be relying on one method of traffic like that. And when you are hiring salespeople, make sure, even if you're bringing them into close initially, make sure at least you're having the conversation around, if this were to, would you be prepared to, if this were to happen. And I think as long as those conversations are had up front, then it's a much easier conversation to kind of negotiate what that looks like down the line.
Absolutely. And also just in the day-to-day, if they have a no-show or a couple no-shows or cancellation.
Use the time.
Exactly.
Pick up the phone.
Exactly. And I think that's really like, even though like your brand, you call yourself Sales Closers, you aren't teaching and encouraging that closer mentality, which is essentially, sometimes people can say, well, it's like order taking. They just want people that are come and they want warmed up and just, they show up and they're ready to buy, and there's no friction, there's no objection handling. But you're really truly working with sales professionals who know and understand the various aspects of the sales process.
Absolutely. And we do, it's one of the things we screen people against when we bring them into our network now. Actually, what roles have you done historically? What would you be prepared to look at in future? So regardless of what a client comes to us with in terms of their own needs, what we're looking to do is match the sales pro with the needs of the business. And I've said this before, I don't know whether I've mentioned to you, but it frustrates me sometimes. You will see even in mastermind networks, it's like, this is the thing you need, but it's almost like the shiny
Mhm.
object syndrome that goes
Yeah.
there. It's like, oh, this is the thing I need. And I'm like, is it though? Is it what your business needs? Because
Mhm.
we need to look at that first. Let's hire the salesperson or the team that your business needs, not what you think you need or what someone else has told you. So yeah, no, I 100% agree on that. And that's why we introduced our contracting service as well, because we recognized that we were getting more business owners here, brilliant network of pre-vetted salespeople.
Yeah.
It's like, actually, it's got to look a bit different in terms of remuneration, though. It's like closing is one thing on commission only, but if you're asking someone to prospect, with potentially not a lot of data in terms of like, well, how
Mhm.
many touch points does that need? If someone's prospecting with someone, nurturing them over a number of months, they're going to
Mhm.
be paid for their time in that. That's a lot of grunt work that they're doing. But essentially, what all you're doing there is then transferring the money you would have spent on ads or generating that appointment into paying a sales professional to do it manually. And they can do a much better job in terms of being specific, connecting with people in a world that is so disconnected.
Yeah.
It's like, actually, that level of intimacy people are craving. It's like,
Mhm.
yes, the automation is great, and I love automation. I know you love
Mhm.
automation as well. But actually, those little touch points, which are human to human, is what we are all craving, actually.
Mhm.
So where that's interspersed or used as well as a strategy is it's it's strong in the current market. We're seeing it. Yeah.
Yeah, the highly personalized, I call it a trust building or relationship building sales process where yeah, you're just building trust and building the relationship and showing them that you're there for them. And that's where, your sales person and your salespeople, they're trusted partners, they're seen differently. They're viewed
Yeah.
differently because there's value that they're adding in that relationship through the nurturing process.
Exactly. Exactly. No, I 100% agree. We're in a different climate than even where what we were last year. I
Mhm.
think COVID changed everything.
Absolutely.
Um, but the economy, the way it is at the minute, yeah, we're seeing that now play out in buying behaviors. And I think people are tired of just
Mhm.
the same old stuff, or expected to move through a funnel in a particular way. It's like, actually, they're much more sophisticated than that.
Mhm. And this is something we didn't touch on before, but I'm curious about your take on it. The whole AI appointment setters and AI coming in to take sales jobs. I think every industry hears that. What is your take on that? And also, like, what have you seen? Have you seen anybody doing it well? People doing it badly? Not a thing?
Yeah, I've not seen it in the closing spaces yet. For appointment setting, I have.
Uh-huh.
And I've seen some demos actually, because we've had prospects come to us wanting us to sell AI appointment setting, which is
Okay.
interesting in itself. So we've had demos which are good.
Mhm.
I don't feel they're quite there yet. You kind of put yourself in the shoes, like, if I was on the receiving end of that call, would I feel it? I believe I
Mhm.
would. Now, I know I'm quite intuitive, as are you, but I
Mhm.
think, again, it almost refers back to what we were talking about earlier, is this sense people have that they can't quite put their finger on. I think AI has its place. I think we're going to see a lot more of it. People are doing really well with appointment setting, undoubtedly. But I think as long as people are open and honest, for me, if we don't implement it and haven't done, would I say never? No, I'm not going to
Mhm.
say never, because it's going that direction. But I think if we were to implement it, I definitely want to be open and honest about the fact that they were having a conversation with AI rather than a human.
Yeah.
And I think if that integrity's there, then that will go a long way. It's what I don't like is where there is dishonesty, like they're
Yeah.
trying to pretend it's a human.
Yeah.
I'm not really cool with that. I
No.
feel it's dishonest, and I feel people will feel that, that yes, they might get through a whole volume that a human wouldn't, but I
Hmm.
think we miss the connection, the emotional human connection that is so important as part of the sales process.
Yeah, and building trust along the way, right? Because, like you
Mm.
said, there's that moment where, if the prospect questions, or it's like, wait a second, I didn't know, and maybe they're further along in the sales process, and now they find out they talked to an AI. Now they're like, oh, well, where else are you not being honest with me or straight, or you just never know. So I appreciate that, the integrity and the honesty piece. And it comes down to values, really, that's what we kicked off with at the beginning.
Yeah, 100%.
So tell our listeners and viewers how to connect with you further. You have a website, you're on LinkedIn. So tell us about how they can connect with you and next steps
Yeah.
if you want to explore further.
Yeah, the best place to go find out more about what we do and connect is www.salesclosers.com. In fact, I don't think you need the www, do you?
Yeah.
Just salesclosers.com. I'm old school, got to add it.
Yeah.
Salesclosers.com. You can schedule a call with me or one of the team there. Typically, that call, we will just work through what's going on in your business right now. We will be open and honest. You can expect that. So if you are not ready, we will let you know. We want people to succeed when they're outsourcing sales, but also we'll not only let you know, we'll point you in the right direction, or at least help you out with some resources to get you ready.
Mm-hmm.
Or point you in the right direction. And absolutely, I would love to connect with you on LinkedIn as well. It's just LJ Sarkodee. That's where I hang out most often.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm online, connect with me, drop me a DM. Happy to start a conversation.
Wonderful. And we will have your links in the show notes so everybody can come and check that out. So thank you so much, LJ, for your time and your expertise. Really enjoyed the conversation. It's always so fun to talk about sales and all things sales, and just, yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I've really enjoyed it. Thanks.
Okay, you're welcome. And bye to everyone until next time on More Influence